Hey, retro gamers! Today we head back to the year 1997, and this is the story all about how my castle got flipped, turned upside down, so take a minute, sit and listen, that's what I want, and I'll tell you how my castle became ruled by Richter Belmont in Castlevania Symphony of the Night for the Sony PlayStation. I'm Eddie Inzauto, and this is Smashing Bricks. Hey, welcome to Smashing Bricks, a retro gaming podcast, a show about revisiting classic video games together to see if they hold up to the rose tint of nostalgia. This is episode 54. I'm your host, Eddie Inzauto, and today I'm joined once again by returning guest, Anthony LaBella. What's up, Anthony?
Hello. Hey, how's it going?
Pretty
Happy to be
good.
back.
Yeah, and this is a game that you actually cited as something that you wanted to play kind of a while back, like as early as I invited you on the show. I feel like this one was always in your list of games that you wanted to play.
Yeah, I told you if you ever do an episode on Symphony of the Night, I need to be there. And I was shocked that you had not played it when you first told me that however long ago. So I thought, I've always been ready for this episode, but especially having replayed it recently.
Yes. It is time, the time you've been waiting for. And what's interesting, and we're going to reveal something very, very notable about this game and you and me and our preferences, because something I want to let everybody in on is that what I wanted to do to help everyone understand what kinds of games we like is make what's kind of a video game genre preference map of sorts, which is basically a list of 15 different video game genres that I came up with and kind of like figured out which ones should be, which ones should not be included, like they would be part of one of these 15, which ones were too granular, whatever. And I'm having everyone, including Anthony, who has done this already, rank these genres from their most favorite to least favorite. And what's going to be revealed here is how yours and mine line up with this game. So I'm gonna start off saying mine. So the list of genres that I came up with are puzzle, sim, strategy, adventure, JRPG, WRPG, action adventure, action, platformer, shooter, shoot 'em up or shmup, racing, fighting, sports, and rhythm games. And you can go to the Discord at discord.smashingbricks.com or go into the show notes or go to links.smashingbricks.com and find the link there. Join up and you'll see there's an area where you can look at all this information for right now 5 of us, or possibly 6, and as new guests come on the show, we'll be sharing more of them. And mine go in order from number 1 to number 15. Action Adventure number 1, Western RPG number 2, Platformer number 3, and I'm going to pause right there. Because Anthony's top 3 go Action Adventure number 1, Western RPG number 2, and Platformer number 3. So yes, exactly
your podcast
the same.
Isn't messing up. It's truly the same.
It is truly
the same top 3.
And this was not
Great
planned.
Minds think alike.
Yeah, this was not planned. The other guests have wildly different top 3s and bottom 12s. But I thought this was interesting. And here we are playing Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which is a commonly known as Metroidvania genre game. But what that is really an action, adventure, platformer with RPG elements. And what kind of RPG elements? Well, it's stats on your stat sheet, so those are Western RPG elements. So this game should be landing pretty safely for both of us.
So 2 bricks coming your way, everyone, right?
Yeah. Not to spoil things, but if you're listening to those preferences and know what a Metroidvania is, you could probably guess how this is going to go. So this is Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It's the 13th in a series of 32 games, with one of them due out actually this year in October. And it was released in 1997 on the PlayStation 1, in March, October, and November for Japan, North America, and PAL regions, or EU, respectively. And then a year later for the Saturn, only in Japan, in June of 98. It was developed by Konami Computer Entertainment Tokyo, published by Konami. The genre, as we said, it's an action-adventure platformer, which is known as Metroidvania, or search action is kind of what the Japanese term for this type of game translates to. And I like that, search action. And after playing this game, I never liked Metroidvania because I didn't really know the distinction. I don't want to make this a genre discussion, but I still don't like that genre name. But something I do like is Igavania, which is named for Koji Igarashi, the man behind the Castlevania series from this point on. And we'll talk more about him. So this is a 2D game with 3D elements, and it's side-scrolling and vertical scrolling and every direction scrolling. And in this type of game, we're going to be exploring a non-linear continuous map. There are no levels, there are no stages, and we're going to be unlocking new areas with a few key items or abilities, and we're going to be playing around with many different weapons and other types of equipment. Spells, other things like that. A lot of stuff. This is a very dense game. There's a lot to it in a very kind of simple and accessible package. It's primarily melee combat. It has abandoned the critical, punishing, punitive platforming of prior Castlevania games, but it's retained platforming in general. It's a very platform-heavy game, but it's focused again more on exploration and revisiting prior areas with new means to make progress. Its narrative is there. It has a story. I think some people are into it. It's told through a few little cutscenes in the game engine, just on screen with your sprites as you go into different rooms. And to me, I don't know. The story. Did you find the story to be like important at all, or you play this entirely for the mechanics?
Alucard is Dracula backwards.
Lore.
That's all I know.
So in that case,
it doesn't matter.
Alucard must be Alucard, right? If it's Dracula
oh,
backwards.
You know what? That's a great point. I never thought of that.
I was just thinking about that, but I've never heard it said any other way than Alucard. So this was the first of this Igavania, Metroidvania style game. And was it your first one? What was your prior acquaintance with Symphony of the Night?
So it was not the first Castlevania I ever played, but it's the first of that kind of subgenre within Castlevania. And fell in love with it immediately. So I played it on PS1, but then I also played it on Xbox Live Arcade, and there's like a PS4 collection that it's on that I played again on, and then playing it again for this episode. So
oh wow, so you know all about this. I have never played this game, as Anthony mentioned earlier. I had never played this game before. However, Castlevania was a game that we did for the show early on, and it was a smash, and I've always liked the Castlevania series, and I've played a bunch of them. But interestingly, I've never played a game that Koji Igarashi was involved in any way, it seems. I played Castlevania 1, 2, 3, Super Castlevania 4, Castlevania Dracula X, Castlevania 64, Castlevania Legacy of Darkness, and Castlevania Lords of Shadow 1 and 2. And I think the issue here is that outside of the PlayStation with Symphony of the Night, all of the rest of those were on handhelds. And it's
Right.
it's
Yeah.
common knowledge that I was never a handheld player. And I had a PlayStation for a little while. I probably had a PlayStation when this game came out, but the PlayStation that I had is sort of a mystery to me. My memory is a little bit foggy about it because I had it and then I didn't. And I don't know what I did with it.
Disappeared into the ether.
And I don't lose things. Like the only thing that I could have done was trade it in for what? For something. I don't know. Did I have it before my Nintendo 64? I don't think so. I think I got it after. And then what would I have traded it for? More games? I have no idea what happened to this PlayStation. And somehow I never played Castlevania Symphony of the Night, even though I would have called myself a fan of the series, having played a bunch of them before. Very strange.
Yeah, the fact that you had the history with it beforehand, but not getting it at the time, because I've played some of the classics, 1 and 3, and Bloodlines, but I didn't beat any of them. Rondo of Blood, which is the precursor to this, which, I mean, I don't know if you'll ever do an episode of Rondo of Blood, but Rondo of Blood is absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it's
a
one of the
great
best games
classic
of all time.
Vania.
Yeah, I think it's the best of the classic ones. But I've played Circle of the Moon and Aria of Sorrow, which are also this style of game.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be interested to see where this this type of Castlevania goes, but we'll talk about what we think about this one and get on to more of that a little bit later. So that's what we did with Castlevania Symphony of the Night and other Castlevanias. But what was going on at this time? It was 1997, midlife of PS1, and really just an incredible time. You and I, we played another game for the show from 1997, GoldenEye, but we also had things like Final Fantasy VII, Gran Turismo, Diablo, Star Fox 64, Fallout, Curse of Monkey Island, Final Fantasy Tactics, Age of Empires, Mario Kart 64, and a bunch of others. It was a good year. You think it was a good year? I think it was a good year.
That was an incredible year.
Yeah. A lot of good stuff going on because we were kind of past the first few years of the initial 3D era, with the PlayStation and Saturn. I'm pretty sure came out in 95, maybe even Saturn like snuck into 94. And then Nintendo 64's first year was 96. So the Nintendo 64 was starting to reach its stride there, and stuff was going on. It was a good time. And there was this game.
Yeah, they were figuring out 3D gaming by this point.
Except this one said, you know what? We don't need to do 3D. And I wish more developers would have been bold enough to try that. And I wish more publishers would have been not as enthusiastic about 3D to say that everything has to be 3D or else it's not worth putting out. Because these consoles, the PlayStation in particular, was an incredible 32-bit 2D console. And, so were all of them. They were just more powerful. Imagine just doing more of these 2D style games with something way more powerful than the Super Nintendo and Genesis. It could have been the greatest time in gaming. It already kind of was for a lot of us. But I think if there was more focus on 2D stuff like this, we would have had an alternate timeline of incredible 2D games in the late 90s. And unfortunately, we didn't. Anyway, this game, as we said, the main guy here was Koji Igarashi. He was a programmer and kind of promoted to be the director of this game halfway through because Toru Hagihara was the director of this game, and he was promoted halfway through this game in the company, in Konami, and he was just like, okay, Koji, you do the rest. And that is how Castlevania changed into what it's become and how it birthed a very popular genre. And that's pretty cool. It's an interesting story. And then, of course, we have to mention Michiru Yamane, the composer, and she's incredible, and we'll talk more about that. What else? This was originally planned for the 32X, and it was called Castlevania The Bloodletting. but they realized the 32X was a failed machine and they didn't want to go anywhere near it, and that the PS1 was a great machine that was going to change gaming. So they canned it and moved to the PlayStation 1. It was intended to be a side story, but also intended to be a new direction for the franchise, which it ended up being. And this was motivated by somebody, maybe it was Igarashi, seeing tons of Castlevania games in the bargain bin at game stores in Japan and
Mm.
realizing, oh, these games are not replayable. Nobody wants to play them after they've gotten through, so they just get rid of them. I want this game to be more interesting for a longer amount of time. So he took inspiration from Zelda, Metroid, and built off of some of Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest's exploration and quote unquote search action, and added some stats to make the game a little bit easier for casual gamers who might have too much difficulty with the classic Vania style, because these stats would be things that would help your character get better so your thumbs didn't have to get better. And that's the sort of foundation of where we got Symphony of the Night from. What were some ports and remakes of this game?
So you'd mentioned the Sega Saturn version, which only came out in Japan, which I have played a little bit of before. And the big thing with that one is that Maria is a playable character, and she's in Rondo of Blood to start.
Mm-hmm.
And she plays quite a bit differently from what I recall, because I think I played as Maria on the Saturn. But there's also a lot of issues with that version, I guess aspect ratio stuff. They added some new content, but it was kind of like an amateur division of developers doing that. And I just know there's some controversy about the Saturn version, but it's cool that Maria is playable. There was the Xbox Live Arcade version, which is the one I played that I mentioned the second time. That one didn't have FMV though because of the size limit for XBLA games.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't have, the FMV of the castle at the beginning, or when you get the ending, you don't get that cutscene. It's unlockable in the PSP game Castlevania, the Dracula X Chronicles, which, if I recall, is a remake of Rondo of Blood in kind of a 2D, 3D style. But then the original Symphony of the Night isn't unlockable in that game if you do a certain something. Also in the Konami Classics Volume 1 for the 360. And then also I played the Castlevania Requiem was the name of the PS4 collection.
Which also has Rondo of Blood,
So that's Rondo
right?
of Blood and Symphony of the Night. Yeah.
Yeah, this pair of games got a lot of love from Konami over the years.
Yeah.
An interesting thing about the XBLA version is that early on in XBLA history, all the games were limited to only 50 megabytes in size. And this was the very first game to be allowed to exceed that because they did not want to handicap it. They removed the FMV, but nobody cared because Igarashi hated the FMV anyway, because a different team did that altogether. And if you look at it, it looks terrible. The 3D stuff in this game.
It's really bad.
It's like the backgrounds are black. It's like that one episode of Game of Thrones in the last season where they're having a big battle and the whole screen looks like...
Oh, right, where you had to adjust your television.
Yeah, like you just can't see anything. There's no detail
Right.
in anything. That's kind of what the backgrounds of these FMVs look like. And then the polygons for the castle are just
terrible.
They're flat, no shading, no nothing, just smooth shapes.
Dracula's castle's real smooth, okay? It's accurate.
Yeah.
That's the lore.
So they allowed this one to increase the size, and then that kind of paved the way for bigger XBLA games, which were ultimately better. I think that limitation was something about the internal memory of the Xbox 360, like the arcade version, like the games had to play in internal memory and the inside that buffer, something like that, whatever it was. But this one kind of broke free of that limitation, and that's pretty cool. This game was received very well. It has a Metacritic score of 93 out of 100 for the PlayStation. Got tons of great ratings. It was awarded EGM's PlayStation Game of the Year, Side-Scrolling Game of the Year, and got runner-up for Best Music, losing to Parappa the Rappa, and it lost to GoldenEye for Game of the Year. PlayStation Magazine gave it Game of the Year, and at the very first Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences Awards, now known as DICE. It was nominated for Console Game of the Year and Console Adventure Game of the Year, but I guess it did not win. And then it was in a bunch of lists. In 97, EGM called it the 12th best console game of all time. In 2006, IGN called it the 16th best game of all time on their top 100. In 2001 and 2013, Game Informer ranked it 18th and then 24th on their top 200 video games ever. In 2006, GamePro called Discovering the Inverted Castle. What's the Inverted Castle? The 26th greatest moment in gaming out of 55 great gaming moments. In 2012, Games Radar called it the second best game on PS1, losing out to another Konami game that references this game. Trivia, if you can guess what that is. And then in 2025, last year, it was on Rolling Stone's 50 best video games of all time, ranking 48th. I don't know if Rolling Stone knows what they're talking about with video games, but that's something. They're a famous publication, and
they have name recognition.
Yeah, and a lot of the classic magazines and websites all rated this pretty much like 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10. We don't have to go through them. 5 out of 5s, A. Lots of these high ratings. Some 80%, some 85s, whatever. But 93% overall on Metacritic. And that's what they thought about it. But what did we think about it? Because we played it for the first time and fourth time. So how'd you play it this time?
So I played it on my AIM Thor. It's like a handheld Android device.
Okay.
So I was using an emulator on there. It's kind of like a DS or a 3DS.
Cool.
Emulation.
You have all these
machine.
interesting retro gaming toys that I get to hear about.
Right, I have the Analog Pocket. I have the AIM Thor. So lots of great ways
to play
retro games. Right, I got the Mister.
Oh man,
yeah,
this guy's a retro gamer. Okay,
doing it the right way.
Very cool. I played mine just the original PS1 version on Retrobat on my computer.
Nice.
And I wanted to ask, I don't know if you'll be able to know this just from your familiarity with the game, but I want to just state where I got to.
Oh, sure.
This was interesting because I still have not heard much about this game in detail over all these years. So I kind of got to play it blind, which was cool.
Which is amazing.
It was amazing. And I was very particular, very meticulous because I love maps in games.
Yeah.
And this one has a very readily accessible map, like literally perfect. If you're going to have a map that's necessary in your game, stick it directly on a button and have it pop up. This game does that. I love that. So I was very specific, very meticulous about going everywhere because I knew where the end was. Everybody who knows anything about Castlevania knows what Dracula's lair looks like. You know where the stairs are. You know they go up to the left, and you know he's up there. So when I got to that part, I was like, oh, I'm not going to go in here yet. I still have all these open doors on my map. So I investigated, I explored for a long time. I don't have an accurate playtime because I'm sure I fell asleep numerous times because that's what happens when you're old. And when you play at like 1 a.m, you just wake up halfway through the night with your controller on the bed and the screen on and, you know, Alucard just standing there doing nothing. So I'm not sure exactly how long I played, but I did end up at level 27 Alucard with a whopping 21,794 in unused money, which is a point about this game that we're going to have to talk about. And I got 102.1% completion.
Nice.
Which is interesting because I found out that I was only halfway through the game. I looked into this a little bit. I didn't really know about this. but apparently you can play up to the point that I got to, and that's just the end of the game, and you get an ending. But I didn't get the ending because I did all this stuff. I read the item descriptions. I don't know why I'm so good at reading item descriptions and figuring out what to do with them.
I wonder what series helped inspire that.
But I did everything that was necessary to unlock. What is it? Would you call it a almost like a bonus section of the game? Because I'm getting that vibe that like it is part of the game and it gets you to the true ending. But in a sense, what I played is kind of the whole game as presented by the developers, with the inverted castle kind of being like, hey, guess what? You finished, and you finished in a really completionist way. We're going to give you a whole other castle, and it's like a bonus. Is that right? Or do you feel like it's truly part of the game?
Yeah, I think I was texting you when you said, I mean, you had not discovered GamePro's 26th greatest gaming moment of all
Right.
time with the inverted castle.
Yeah.
But I do feel, I think I told you, you really saw what the game has to offer by just playing the regular version without the inverted castle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we'll get into it when we talk about maybe flaws of this game, but I feel, it feels to me like the kind of thing a developer does, especially since you mentioned Igarashi wanted a game that wouldn't be in the, in the bin where people are just selling it back. So let's add more content. Let's just have the same exact map, but it's upside down now, which is
Yeah, pretty
essentially
easy
what
to
it
do.
is outside of some new, there's some new enemies, some new boss fights, new equipment. You get the true ending, like you said, if you get through that, but it boils down to it's the castle upside down, which
So you're always a
is
bat?
not the greatest thing. You're always a bat, or you're always doing the super jump, which I don't know if you ever like figured out the super jump.
I don't
Did
know
you
what
ever
the
do
super
that?
jump is. I got the gravity
Oh
boots.
my god, okay.
Are those related to the super jump? Because I feel like they didn't
So
do anything.
once you get the equipment that says you can jump higher, I think that's the one. If you press down, up, jump, you do like a big jump, and you could just chain it together and like jump up vertically forever.
Okay, let's pause. Let
You
me
will
go
do
back
like
to
a spark jump. Yeah, you need to go back. It's like Samus's I forget what you call gravity jump, spark jump, where she goes straight up.
Yeah.
He does that too, but you can keep chaining it together and keep going up,
Huh.
which they don't tell you.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any clue in the game that tells you that's what you need
The
to do.
gravity boot description just kind of says you can jump higher, and I was jumping. I'm like,
Right.
I don't think I'm jumping higher, bro.
But you're not jumping higher, right?
Yeah. So I
But
mean,
you
I ignored
can
it.
jump higher. Yeah.
Yep.
It's very useful for inverted castle.
Yeah. Okay, now we're talking about things that we could do, but I want to just go right back to the beginning here. You turn this game on, and you see it, and you hear it. Now, this to me is the best looking PlayStation 1 game. Period.
Okay.
I think this is beautiful. Caveat, I don't love the way PlayStation games look in general, with their muddy,
Right.
over textured and moving polygons and vertices that don't lock in place, and everybody knows what a PlayStation 1 game looks like. It looks like swimmy sandpaper most of the time. This does not. This is beautiful pixel art with phenomenal parallax scrolling backgrounds that they do really amazing things with that you don't see very often. And they even incorporate some 3D stuff for some interesting effects, like the books in the library that are actual 3D objects that come out of the background. And I don't know, it's really beautiful. What did you think?
Yeah. I think it's an incredible looking game. I think the best looking PS1 game ever for me is Vagrant Story, which I've
Okay.
never even really played through, but I don't think I could be convinced otherwise. I love the look of that game, but I think I would probably say Symphony of the Night is maybe a number 2.
Yeah.
Truly beautiful pixel art. Like you said, the use of 3D is really smart. It's not, hey, 3D is the big thing, let's throw it in there. It's used kind of subtly, but in an effective way. Like when you go in the save room, that kind of has a 3D effect. Like you said, the books in the library.
Yep.
It's just neat little touches that stand out because they're used so sparingly. And just the art design, it's that when I think Castlevania, I just think of what Symphony of the Night looks like now, rather than classic Castlevania. It just nails that castle design. The enemy designs are incredible. The bosses look cool.
There's so much depth.
Alucard looks awesome. Like, just the way his cape moves, like the animation is incredible. I think that's honestly, if we're talking about visuals, I think just the animation in particular really stands out.
All the enemies have first of all, there's so many different enemy designs, tons of different sprites, and they do all these little animations, like little subtle things. So a lot of it's funny too, like
Sure.
okay, so we talked about new enemies in the inverted castle. I met one of them and then immediately saved at the first save point in the inverted castle, and that's where I am. That was Yorick. He's a skeleton who is just there in like this really empty spot, and he lost his head. And
that's beautiful.
And you hit him and he dies, and his head's still on the ground. You have to hit that, and it dies, and it leaves you an item. But that's funny. Right? And then like
that's great.
There are these enemies that are basically like two undead or two skeletons carrying one of these. It's almost like a I don't know what any of the names of the enemies
the bone
are,
dragon
but
thing.
It's carrying a head that blows like fire, and you can hit one of those skeletons, and that one drops the half of the thing that they're carrying, so it just kind of stays in place. They don't walk anymore. Or you can hit the skull, like the main weapon that they're carrying around, and then the guys, they run away. They go flailing around like Kermit the Frog.
They go flailing away,
you know, waving their hands in the air, like, "Oh my god!" Like, it's so funny. And then
what do we do? What do we do?
Yeah, and you have different things in the background. Sometimes, like I forget what area it is, but there are just characters in the background that are locked up, like banging against these jail cell bars and stuff.
Well, even early, don't the windows open in that hallway?
Yeah, like the very first hallway.
Kind of the very first hallway, and then that kind of Gorgon looking eye. Is peeking. Peeking around the windows.
That's later. Yeah. That's kind of like below.
Oh, is that later?
Yeah, that's in the hallway where you have like 4 or 5 of these really big enemies. There are these they're like lizards with a woman in their tail. And like flowers for legs, and then these kind of little shop of horrors looking plant enemies that turn you to stone.
That's a good description.
But I noticed in the background there's that eye floating outside, and there's no explanation for it as far as I got.
Nope.
That's creepy.
None at all.
And it's like only when you get to a certain point in that hallway too. It's just outside this window, but if you go all the way to the left, it's not there anymore. But even in that the very first hallway, you have the backgrounds with the doors are kind of flapping open in the wind. It seems like it's a stormy night.
Right.
Yeah, lots of cool stuff.
There's so many of those touches like that. One more I'll mention about the enemy, and I don't think it's Inverted Castle. I think it's the kind of main game. I like the one with it's a knight with a bird, and if you kill the bird, he gets really sad and kind of leans down because you killed his bird, and he won't attack you anymore.
And then you kill him by stabbing him in the back.
Yeah.
Of course.
Exactly.
Yeah, lots of very cool stuff. I love all the animations. Very cool. And then the sound. The OST is so good.
All time.
This is one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard in a video game also. There are some incredible tracks. I love in the Colosseum. It starts off sounding spooky, almost like a Thriller, like Michael Jackson's Thriller, or like Zombies Ate My Neighbors music, and then turns into a funk track.
An absolute jam.
And it feels like a cinematic choice in an action movie where they dull down the sound effects audio and crank up the music and have like a sequence of violence.
Sure, I feel you. Yeah, I could see that in a movie.
Or like something, just kind of like an action comedy almost, like where you would have, it's like, it's clobbering time now. And I just got so into that.
And it doesn't really feel out of place
to
me either.
It
just makes sense.
The
it just
coolest
works
thing.
somehow.
Yeah. Ba-da-ba-ba.
Right.
I love it so
and
much.
There's jazzy stuff in there too. Like, it kind of plays around with a few different genres beyond kind of the main symphonic stuff, but Just so many incredible all-timer tracks in there. And then I don't know if when you beat it, right, the credit song plays, and it's just like it makes me think of like a Bette Midler song or something, like very ballad, big vocals. And the woman who does the vocals for that credit song did the Snake Eater song.
That's
and Metal
cool.
Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, which is a cool fun fact.
That is very cool. I haven't heard it. I didn't go through and listen to the
Okay.
entire
Oh, you gotta
soundtrack.
hear
And
it.
I didn't beat the
That
game.
one does not make any sense with the game.
Oh.
It is so out of place, but it's very funny.
Yeah. They're all, like, most of them are so good, though. Oh, my God. There's one more I'm going to
Yeah.
mention. It's called Pale something or other, I think. But it's the piano track that plays in what's called, I think, Orlox's lair or something.
Oh,
And it's just so beautiful. It's got this sort of forlorn vibe to it, and it's gentle. And then you encounter this sort of dancing poltergeist enemy where it's like a floating green sword in an open area with like multiple different paths, and it has all these sprites of various different medieval weapons floating around it that it spins and throws at you, and it's like you're doing this strange dance of death with this enemy.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing feeling with some of these tracks. And there are numerous other ones that really set the mood so incredibly well. It's like one of the best and most cohesive audiovisual presentations in gaming. To me.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Other than the FMV being terrible, but we won't hold that against them.
Yeah, and I had to start with that because sometimes I leave graphics and sound toward the end because generally, I like to say, well, it's the gameplay that matters. But this was just so.
But no,
good.
they deserve their flowers on the audiovisual presentation for sure.
But now let's get more down into the nitty gritty about the game.
Yeah, so you mentioned before with the genres, it's kind of a mix of action and platformer with some RPG elements. So, exploring this castle, finding items, you level up as you kill enemies. I think this specific type of action adventure, this Metroidvania or Igavania or whatever you call it, is probably my favorite subgenre, I guess you could say, because I just love a game like this where you're exploring, you're filling in a map. There's some platforming along the way, even though it's not platforming heavy. It's really more about the action and the combat, I would say, with, some jumping here and there. And you do get traversal abilities, right? So that's the big piece of it is, you'll go up to a blue door. You can't go through the blue door. Oh, then you get an item that lets you go through blue doors. Or this jump is too high. I can't get up there. Oh, now I have double jump. Now I can get to that spot that I couldn't get to before. So it's kind of these... almost like a lock and key map where there's a lock. I'm going to get the key in the form of an ability, and now I can go explore further and open that lock, find more items, discover new enemies, discover a whole new part of the map. And there's just something about that I love so much, and I feel like Symphony of the Night does it really well, where I don't feel like it's holding my hand. I don't feel like it's so open that I'm getting lost constantly. It's that perfect middle ground. And I think that's a really hard thing to balance. But I think Symphony of the Night does that so well. And it's why it's one of my favorites in this genre.
Yeah. Yeah, it does feel very good as a whole. But I have a question for you about this element of the design. Because as someone who's played multiple Metroidvanias and other games that wouldn't necessarily be considered a Metroidvania right off the bat. For example, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past operates functionally a lot like a Metroid game. Maybe not like a Metroidvania, which I'm kind of learning the distinction between, but because you have a continuous map, mostly. I mean, obviously you go inside and that, and you have progress that's gated off, and you have to get items to help you get past each of these different areas, and you do all kinds of backtracking, going back to different areas to unlock further progression in those different directions. But this one is top down. It's a top down view. So a Metroidvania is mostly a side on view. Like that seems to be a distinction. But here's the thing. In Castlevania Symphony of the Night, it feels like there are like 3 major things that open up progress for you, whereas in Metroid, you're starting the game and then you run into these roadblocks pretty soon, and boom, now you get a new ability and you have more access. And it feels like it does this many, many, many times throughout the game. But in Symphony of the Night, it felt like, what are the main ones? There's the unlock, I forget what it's called, but it opens the blue doors. It's one of your relics.
Right, blue doors.
And then the next one, really, that feels significant to me is the double jump.
Right.
And then the bat form.
Yeah, because the mist only gets you to really a couple spots.
Oh, yeah, I guess the mist.
Spots in the whole map.
But it is, yeah, it's like 3 spots.
It's only a few.
Yeah, but that's okay.
And then the spike armor is just really the one
That's
spot,
one,
I think.
yeah.
And then there's one spot where you need to use the bat's echo location
to get
ability.
the spike armor.
Oh, you're right. That's
so
right.
It's like
to get
the echo. It's cool. I love that part.
Yeah.
That was very cool. I would have actually liked to see more of that in the game.
Too.
Like, I could use the echo somewhere else also.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's kind of limited, right? Am I wrong about that?
Yeah, you don't need to use the wolf.
The wolf. Wait, let's pause here in the middle of this conversation, because the wolf is useless, right? What does the wolf do?
The wolf can get you to open a secret wall if you go through that stone thing at the beginning. If you go through one way as a wolf and the other way as a bat, you unlock a secret wall.
Oh.
And then you do it backwards in the inverted castle to unlock the wall again.
Interesting. But otherwise, the wolf does nothing, right?
Use case. It does nothing.
And it's like, it does nothing. I couldn't attack with it. It walks at like a snail's pace. It's crazy.
It can kind of dash. You can get to some stuff early in the game if you do a dash and a jump in a couple spots, but double tap the direction.
Oh. Can you do that with Alucard?
No.
Okay. That would have been nuts, because I thought Alucard... I tried to double tap because I thought he moved a little slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so sorry, just jumped in right there. The wolf.
No, that's fair to put down the wolf. The wolf is useless.
So you were talking about the different abilities that you get.
Yeah, and I agree that they're limited. And I guess I hadn't thought about just, comparing it to a Metroid where you're getting probably more traversal options or kind of those keys for the locks, so to speak. But I feel like there's still enough of it in Symphony of the Night, and I feel like it forces you to explore the map pretty extensively and travel pretty far to get to new spots, so that I felt like I was truly learning the layout of the castle and better understanding this play space, which is something I love about Hollow Knight too, because it's so large and there's so much to see that you feel like you truly learn the space. And I feel like some games in the genre, it's just, well, let me just constantly look at my map. Oh, so the game to me is a series of squares. Whereas I feel like Symphony of the Night feels more like a space I'm exploring, and I happen to have a map that has the squares too.
Okay. I feel like it's both. It's a mix, because I was in the map all the time, but also I recognized all the areas because and it comes back to that graphical presentation. Everything is like so different that it has a different music per area, and it's just easily recognizable. Sometimes the path from one place to the other I didn't quite have, on lock in my brain, so I had to use the map. There are warp points, so that's kind of cool. You can get, I think,
the warp points are great. That's a great introduction, because I was thinking earlier, after Super Metroid, I don't know that you get another game quite like that until Symphony of the Night, in terms of just the way that map looks and unlocking new spots in that same way, side-scrolling. So I feel like warp points was a huge addition to that style of game that pretty much every game after that is in that genre ends up doing, some kind of fast travel
Yeah.
option.
Again,
And I
very
feel
much like
they
Zelda.
don't overdo it. Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, again, inspired by Link to the Past and that
Even the
series.
very
But
original
I feel
Zelda,
like
it had the warps that
that's
you would go into
true.
one, and it took
Yeah.
you couldn't choose where you were going, just like here, which you should have been able
Right.
to
I
at this
forgot about
point, right?
that. Yeah, so even back to the original.
Yeah, and it would
But
just go to
I
the
feel like
next
they
one.
don't overdo it. Yeah. And I think there's enough of them without it feeling like you could just fast travel everywhere,
Mhm.
which is also sometimes a complaint I have with games where, again, I like to learn the space and feel like I'm truly exploring and living in it. And if there's too much fast travel, I feel disconnected in a way. So I like the amount of warp points too. It might be a weird thing to highlight, but I think that's important too.
Yeah, I mean, this again, I said this game was very dense. There's so much going on here, and I feel like we could
Yes.
talk about it for like 7 hours. But so
Right, because
anything
the
we mention is
RPG
important.
elements we haven't even really talked about, which kind of gets into that distinction, right, between Metroid
Yeah.
and the Vania part.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit now. I know we have a lot to get to, and I don't know what
Yeah.
the correct order to talk about everything is, but this is a good thing because this is kind of a defining element of it. However,
Yeah.
I personally don't quite get the stats in this game, like what's really going on, because for me, this was sort of a con for me. I felt like this is a primary differentiator from Metroid games, but it also isn't a great part of this game, or like a part that I ever engaged with in any meaningful way. Was it just happening in the
Mhm.
background? Like I'm just getting stronger without realizing it?
Yeah.
I guess. But can we talk about the stats without talking about also the items and equipment? Because that's sort of, those are tied together in a way. Because I noticed that different things that you would equip, whether they be weapons or accessories or armors, they might show that your intelligence went up, or, obviously
Yeah.
that your attack and defense would go up or down. But I don't know what intelligence does or what luck does,
So intelligence increases your damage with sub weapons.
Oh,
So when you're throwing an axe, when you're making the book fly, you do more damage with more intelligence.
okay.
I don't know where I learned that. I just have that knowledge in my brain since I first played the game.
Yeah.
I must have looked it up or something. Because again, the game is not telling you these things. Maybe the manual did.
I read the
I
manual. There's
don't
basically
recall reading
nothing in the
manual.
manual. It's like a
Oh, really?
5-page manual. Because I thought,
Great.
this is the type of game where you probably learn stuff from the manual. So I
Right.
went and sought it out, and I was like,
Yeah.
maybe not.
Nothing. All right, to game facts we go.
Right,
Tell
exactly.
me what these stats mean.
To 1997
But,
game
but
facts.
Right.
Nintendo Power. Oh wait,
But
no.
That's the main thing I would think about when I was equipping stuff. Was I knew the strength would be my weapon damage, and I knew the intelligence would be my sub weapon damage. So I'd kind of determine like, oh, do I have a sub weapon that I like a lot? Maybe I want something with more intelligence right now. Or oh, my sub weapon right now is not one I like that much. So I'm gonna equip stuff that increases my strength because I'm not gonna use the sub weapon as much. So I did a little bit of that, but I think there's way too much stuff.
Yeah.
There's way too much loot. And a lot of it's useless.
Well, you get it. So I changed weapons like 5 times total.
Yeah.
I found these jewel knuckles early on by
yeah.
breaking a wall and just
Mm-hmm.
standing there.
Yeah.
I think I got distracted. I was like talking to someone on my phone.
Little did you know.
And
you
then all
found
of
the
a sudden
secret,
there was
yeah.
an elevator. So I guess you had to wait. And I think that's a thing about this game, is there are some parts where you just have to stand around. But I got these jewel knuckles, and this will dovetail into another conversation about weapons. But I used these jewel knuckles for like for a really long time, until I found the combat knife, I guess, which was much, much later.
Mm.
Or something else small and fast.
Right, some kind of dagger or something.
Because your main weapon that you start with is a sword. And the game is set up so that you can have 2 hands equipped. Either you can have a 2-handed weapon, which stink, I think. Is that right? All the 2-handed weapons are trash?
Two-handed.
Yeah, okay.
Wait, yeah, they're not.
They're slow,
great.
they leave you open,
Too slow.
vulnerable, and the amount of damage extra that you get is not significant.
Yeah, it's not worth the trade-off.
But your main thing that Alucard uses is like a short sword, a one-handed sword. And it's cool at first, but I quickly realized that it has kind of a cooldown. Like after he swings it, he kind of follows through into the background, and you're stuck there a little bit.
Yeah.
And I hated that. And it kind of gave me a little bit of friction in getting into the game because I didn't like how that felt. And then I found a dagger, like the Balisard or something, and I was like, oh, this is weaker, but hot diggity, I can hit fast. So I played with a fast weapon in one of my hands the entire game. And then in my other hand, I needed something that was long range, so I would put one of the one-handed swords until I found the Morning Star, which is like a third type of weapon, which is like club weapons or something like that.
Right.
And it has a different animation, which is faster than the one-handed sword also, and has a little bit of an arc to it, which is shockingly useful.
It's really nice.
Has a little bit of an upward over-the-top arc, and then you could also duck and hit things on the ground more easily as well. And it had a good range, and those weapons were usually pretty strong. So I stuck that on one button and my fast thing on the other button. So any enemy I could go up to, I would, go and give them that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 combo with the small weapon. And anything that needed range, I had my, club weapon or Morning Star or whatever.
Right, the Morning Star. Yeah, that makes sense. I wish, because I think that is a problem, that you don't end up changing your equipment that much. Honestly, you just, numbers bigger? Okay, let me do that. And you don't have to think too much.
Yeah.
I really wish, and it's early, right? It's 1997. They're, trying things, breaking new ground. I think if you had equipment that had more variation on those stats, like let's say there was a weapon that raised your constitution. There's only a few of those that raise something other than the pure strength of the attack. And I kind of wish you had to figure out different sacrifices to make, if that makes sense. So, I'm going to get this part of it. I'm going to get plus, 5 defense, but I'm going to get minus 10 intelligence. There's a little bit of that, but not a whole lot, and not really in the weapons much at all. And as a result, I like the swords, and I don't know if this is a placebo effect or if I've discovered something, but if you slash and then kind of jump and slash, I think you kind of cancel out the delay a little bit. So that's how I play. I don't know if that's a speedrunning technique, if I'm making it up and it doesn't actually help and I'm just imagining it. But I feel like you can kind of get those attacks out fast if you're kind of
interesting.
Attack, jump, and doing that kind of thing.
I wonder if the dodge also cancels that cooldown.
Or maybe the dodge would too, yeah. But I felt like
or the shield.
I kind of get in a rhythm where put up the shield at a certain time. Maybe you can cancel an animation. So I didn't worry about the speed too much. And then at the end, you can get Alucard's sword, which is inherently faster, more like a dagger, and it's a sword.
Oh, I got
Alucard that
sword
for the end. Yeah, the Alucard is not quite the same.
Trash. And that's the thing. Most of the weapons that I picked up were worse than whatever was in my hand, except for a couple times, which was
okay. But I did text you about, so there's a weapon called the shield rod.
I used that for a while.
That is completely broken.
I didn't use it right, apparently.
Completely broken.
It was better than most things at that time, but what was special about it?
So the shield rod, depending on what shield you have equipped, if you hit both attack buttons at the same time, it does something special, depending on the shield you have equipped. And if you get Alucard's shield at the end, and you hit both buttons with the shield rod, you become invincible. Every time you hit an enemy, you heal, and you do 8 damage every half second. So
that's incredible.
You can literally just walk into a boss with your shield out and completely decimate them in approximately 5 to 10 seconds.
I love
at the end of the game. And it's so broken, but I love it.
I love that so much. I used that weapon for a while, but I never use a shield.
And again, the game doesn't tell you this. There's no clues really.
Well, it does say that it works better with a shield. It does
have a description. Yeah. But it doesn't tell you how you do it.
It increases your defense just to use it also, which is interesting.
That's true.
And I think if you have a shield, its attack power is higher. I think I noticed that because I checked it.
That's also true.
But I didn't want to use a shield. I wanted my fast knife.
Yeah. Right. But once I got that, I thought I have to have a shield at all times and just use shield rod.
That sounds so
it's too
cool.
fun to not use. It's really cool. And like one of them, it summons a meteorite. There's lots of cool different combinations depending on the shield you
Wow.
have. So I have a lot of fun with the shield rod when I play.
Well, I know what I'm going to be doing when I go back to the game. I'm going to be trying that out.
And I think that it also speaks to the difficulty, or for me, lack thereof, which I don't mind. I'm curious what you feel about the game's difficulty, because I think of
I
a
thought it was
weapon like
super
the shield
easy and I
rod.
loved it.
No, same. I love it, and I love that you can kind of break it and just kind of have that power fantasy.
Yeah.
Because I think my favorite thing about these games is the exploration,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't mind if there's not this, very friction-heavy combat in there. I kind of like just breezing through areas and getting to explore more of the castle, and I love that there's those weapons that help you kind of break the game too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fun. And you still have to be precise with your movement. There's a lot going on. Enemies attack in all kinds of different ways. Enemies
Yeah.
shoot projectiles in a variety of different ways. So there's a lot of threat out there. It's just like you have the tools to combat it, and you do. Also, the different weapons that do like special damage, like holy damage and dark damage or something like that.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And I'm like, why? What's the point? None of the enemies.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever understood why that would matter, or if it does.
It's not
Yeah.
even relevant because the enemies just die to whatever your highest attack weapon is. I don't
Right.
know.
It's not taking 50 hits to kill a normal enemy, so.
Yeah. So lots of useless stuff in there. Tons of weapons. Like cool ideas for weapons. I noticed that some of them do interesting different things, like
Yeah.
in terms of their animation, but like I just don't use them
Yeah.
because
The heart is there, but the execution's not there in terms
Yeah.
of the loot and all the stuff you can find.
And we love Dark
on
Souls.
paper, it seems great.
right?
Yeah,
Where you have
totally.
weapons that are
Yeah.
seemingly useless lying all around, but that game has the system in place where basically everything is viable and everything
Right.
kind of has strengths and weaknesses, whereas this just
the
felt
balance
like
is much better.
I'm just, all I have to do
Right.
is tap through this, and it's
Yeah.
more about like, does
What-
this one attack the way that I want, the speed that I want, the shape that I want? And I just stuck with that.
Yeah. How did you feel about sub-weapons? Were there certain sub-weapons you relied on? Did you use them much?
Well, I didn't use them enough for my hearts to ever go less than like maximum, because
Oh, no.
no, I mean I used them.
Well, that's an answer.
I used them, but like, and I used them as plenty, I thought, but I didn't really need them. I liked the
Yeah.
basic knife was super powerful because you could throw it
Sure.
1,000 times in a second, and you could hit something
Mhm.
that's far away from you on a straight line, which is sometimes necessary. Closing that distance, great for bosses where you can get on their level. I used it for
Mhm.
that one underground with the arms, the Scylla. That was a really good
Oh,
time to
Scylla,
use that,
yeah.
and for a couple others.
Mhm.
The axe was good for its arc, and it's really strong,
Sure.
it seems. But my favorite of all of them, I mean, there's the Holy Cross, which just is like
It's
pure
just
OP.
over. I mean, it uses so many hearts, though.
Yeah. And then my favorite is just the time stop. Just like stop time, stop
Oh,
everything
sure.
from moving, go in and wreck everything.
Yeah.
And then that's it. Basically, you just walk through every area. I like that one. And it was rarer, like the clock was
Yeah,
not
there's
as
not as many of them.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I wish that there were more of the sub-weapons scattered throughout the breakables, like the torches and whatever that you can destroy in the background,
Mhm.
because it felt like 80% hearts, 20% or 10% money, and 10% sub-weapons. And there were
Yeah, that's
times,
fair.
like
Yeah.
when I fought a particular enemy, I really wanted to go find a better sub-weapon to make it work, like to figure out how to beat this.
Mhm.
It was the I forget what it's called, Grand Falloon. It's a big sphere of like dead bodies or whatever.
Oh, the flesh.
And that was tough
Yeah.
to tough to manage if I didn't have the axe, but there was no axe anywhere around. So I started walking all over the place looking for it. And then I eventually just like left and didn't come back because I was like, there's got to be a better sub weapon out here. And then I was getting further and further away, and I was like, I'll just go in another direction. I'll come back later.
Right. Might as well keep going.
And by the time I got back, I figured out how to do an attack with the bat where it goes straight across the screen. Which is another part of the game that's interesting and weird that we'll talk about. But yeah, I would have liked to have more opportunities to change up my sub weapon, and some of them were useless. I think was part of the question you were talking about.
2 at a time, maybe.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
I feel like if you got 2 at a time, that might be a nice solution. Where like you have one in reserve, you could swap.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
So we're kind of talking about friction, right? Like creature comforts as a gamer. But at the same time, we just said that the game's very easy. So, like, that would just make it easier.
That's true. Yeah. And like you said, you didn't feel like you needed them. So,
some of them were just, like, pointless.
There's one where you throw salt on the ground, it looks like.
Yeah. Whatever that is. It's like
That's
the hand.
Weird. Yeah, the hand.
The holy water was good for the stairway on the west side of the castle where you have to kill the double stacked boneheads that blow fire.
Yeah, and then the iron balls there.
Yeah, because one will fall down the stairs if you kill the other. So using the holy water kills them both. And I used it for one other boss that it really worked well on. Oh, another like difficult boss I think was it was like a minotaur and a werewolf, and I used it on the werewolf. And that helped.
Oh, sure.
Because he was too fast to hit with my little brass knuckles.
He's very fast, yeah.
But okay. So that's sub-weapons. Yeah, some other ones were stupid too, like the ricochet crystal, whatever that's called. Where you just throw it at an angle and it bounces around like in it, whatever random direction. But what about other items? We have food and we have consumables. So to eat food... Yeah. Very cool that you pick food up in this game and you don't have to be low on health and consume it right when you walk over it like all prior Castlevanias. Right. So now you get to carry it, but in order to use it, you can't just go into your inventory. It even says use in parentheses. So I thought, oh, that means that I'm going to press the button and I'm going to use it immediately. And then I see, oh no, I equipped the turkey. Or I equipped the pot roast. Okay. Yep. So I figure I'll go back to the screen, I'll press that attack button, and I'll use it. He throws it on the floor. And then you have to walk over it again. And that's how you use it.
Yeah.
That is nonsensical.
The potion doesn't do that.
The potion you use.
I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah, a potion, but that is funny how you have to literally walk over. See, they still wanted some of that classic Castlevania. We'll let you equip it, but you still gotta walk over it.
But the potion, you use it, and then, a second later you use it again, because that's the button that your thumb is used to pressing to attack an enemy.
Oh, right, yeah.
Or using your library card, going in and talking to the guy, going out, and then the first enemy you go to attack, you use your library card
again, to the library.
And you go back 5 steps behind you.
You're just an avid reader,
oof. That's a big oof.
Yeah, that's not the most intuitive system with you, because I ended up not using those usable items very much because I would have to go equip it. If there were literally just one button that was, you have this shortcut for whatever item you have equipped, great. But the fact that you have to remove your shield or your weapon and equip it, and it's just annoying. Yeah,
what you just said sounded like the Dark Souls move. A separate button has your equipped item. You use it immediately when you press it.
Right.
And of course, I'm used to that.
Because the things that are in there, I want to use them, but you have to create a system in which the player feels incentivized to use those systems or to use those items. And as much as I kind of love the everything but the kitchen sink approach to Symphony of the Night, I think it's part of its charm that it has so much stuff and it's so dense as you've put it. But I do think like it shows those glaring flaws even more, where there's a lot of stuff I'm not even engaging with because the systems are in place to encourage me to do so. But then I like that it's in there because it's just kind of silly and over the top, which I think is a good quality of the game too. So it's kind of a weird, push pull.
Yeah. But I never really used items. And it's probably because of what you're saying, because that extra friction and getting to use it. But also not needing it. I didn't really need to heal that much.
Right, not needing it. It's
because
so
a good element of this game to me were the save points being pretty much everywhere. Like you get somewhere,
they're pretty generous.
There's a save point. And if you're anywhere and you're low on health, if you want to, you could go back to the save point and just max out. But I didn't find myself really needing to use potions or eat much food. It just everything was kind of there when I needed it to heal up. I don't think I had any healing stuff.
Yeah. When you're in the inverted castle, you're so powerful at that point that I wouldn't say it's hard, but things hit way harder in the inverted castle. So there are enemies that are doing 50 and 60 damage every hit.
Oh, so I have to take off my Ares ring.
Multiple hits and lose all your health, very quickly if you're not being careful. So they do try to amp up the difficulty, but again, you have a lot of things to counteract that. But there is a bit more of that friction in the inverted castle. The bosses are still incredibly easy and inverted, but the regular enemies hit really hard.
Yeah. Now, so the bosses are incredibly easy, right? But I love them. Yeah. I think they're all really cool, and they're all really diverse.
They look cool as hell.
They look awesome. They do different things for the most part. They just get whooped fast.
They end too quickly. Yeah.
But it's fine.
I want to spend more time in the fight. Yeah.
It's fine, but like it could have been more of a challenge. I mean, I do love like going in there and just being a murderer. That's cool. Right. I feel like such a cool badass, but it's good and bad, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's where they could have inserted more of that difficulty or that challenge, right? Maybe traversing the castle, dealing with regular enemies, you kind of have that power fantasy, but then you get to a boss fight and okay, here you're really being tested. Now you have to use your items. Now you have to consider what weapon you're going to use for the angle, and maybe that's where I wouldn't have minded if they had gone hard in that direction for the boss fights in particular, and then you still have kind of that easy exploration of the castle.
Yeah. Now, speaking of exploration, this is kind of a two-part thought. Was there a point, because there was for me, there were a couple points for me where things kind of clicked? Because again, at the beginning for me, it was kind of hard to really get hooked by early on in the first little bit. But I think kind of once I got to the long library and I bought the map.
Oh, right, where it's kind of grayed out, spots you haven't been to.
In this game, there's a map, as we said, but it's empty. And it only fills in as you go to new rooms. You discover a room, it's now drawn in on the map. But at the library, you can talk to the librarian and buy a map, and now it shows you all of the rooms, not all of them. It's not a complete map, but it's something to go off of. And it shows you a bunch of rooms where they are and kind of where the doors are. And it helps you really explore the castle in a more precise and methodical way, which I loved. And that was like a really good point for me. Also discovering that you could punch walls and open up new areas, like, because then it kind of goes hand in hand, right? Because you'll see like there's a hole in the wall in the map, but there's no hole in the wall in front of your face, so you go and you hit it. And then at that point I'm like, oh, so I have to go back to everywhere and start hitting the walls and stuff. And then you discover there are other things like little secrets, items, food, whatever.
Yeah, I like those little bit. I don't think they go overboard with that either, where there's some hidden walls, there's some hidden items, but it's not so much that I felt like I was frustrated with not hitting every wall or missing something. And also I feel like the map that you talked about really speaks to one of those big strengths I mentioned, where I never felt lost in the game, but I also didn't feel like I was always being guided to where I needed to go. And I think the map is a nice middle ground, because some of it isn't filled in, like you mentioned, some of it is. So you still have those moments where you're getting whole new parts of the map when you first enter rooms, but then you also have those grayed out spots that you can go to first, and you feel like you're being guided in a sense,
Mhm.
but you're also being able to explore and find new things. So again, it's that really nice middle ground that I think it finds.
One thing that it does really well is that when you do get the what's it, the something of unlock or whatever, or if you get the double jump,
Jewel?
jewel of unlock, yeah, whatever it is, you'll follow the path a little bit further, and it'll drop you off back in an earlier part of the map. It'll reconnect back, kind of
Mm-hmm.
like Dark
Right,
Souls
little
1.
shortcuts.
Um,
Yeah.
and you'll be kind of close to where you have to go to a blue door. And that's cool. Or you'll be kind of
Yeah.
close to where you had
Yeah.
to do a double jump that maybe you've forgotten about
Mm-hmm.
by now. And you say, oh, yeah, that part.
Right.
I got a double jump right there.
Right.
So that's cool. I really like the layout of the castle. I mean, it's wild. It seems like a mess when you look at it, but it's really good. I think it's really good, the map.
I think it's
the
really good too, and
organization of the
it
castle.
does. Yeah, it does feel like that. You think of the Souls games, you think of Bloodborne. You could see so much of that Castlevania DNA in there, or Symphony of the Night, right? And I think you do see that with those shortcuts you mentioned. Like, oh, I'm back at the beginning of the game, and I thought I was so far away, but actually it all connects.
Mm-hmm.
It does feel very smart in how they've put everything together, because each area is varied in music and design, but then it feels very cohesive in how it all connects back to each other.
Yeah. Yeah, really good. I love all games with maps like that, honestly. Like, I think it's just
Mm-hmm.
an element of who I am and the gamer that I am, because some of my favorite games are all about referencing your map. Like Resident Evil was an early one, Silent Hill, Metroid,
Yeah.
Zelda, certain Zeldas. Elden Ring is a big one, the greatest game of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Elder
Yeah.
Scrolls.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even just playing Illusion of Gaia last month, was it?
Mm-hmm.
I was in the map, like looking at the details about what enemies there were, because that's a mechanism of that game. I could go on and on about games with maps. Metroid
Yeah.
Prime, I guess that counts as other Metroids. But yeah, really cool. I love that whole idea. The whole concept of exploration is really well executed in this game, even despite what we said about the gating not being maybe as what do I want to say, as continuous and progressive, I suppose, as those other
Sure.
games. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say I feel like a lot of that falls apart with the inverted castle, which I'll
Oh
speak
no.
to a bit since you didn't do
Yeah,
the
tell us about
inverted
the inverted castle.
Um, so do you have games where there's huge flaws, but you can kind of just ignore it? I mean, Bloodborne. We were talking about Souls and Bloodborne too. I think of Bloodborne and the Blood Vial system, which I absolutely hate.
Oh
But
yeah,
I
it's
love that
awful.
game so dearly that I'm willing to look the other way. Essentially,
Mm-hmm.
that's me in the inverted castle, because the inverted castle is not good. It's discovering the inverted castle. I understand why GamePro is saying that's the 26th greatest moment in gaming. Discovering it, cool, very cool. What a neat thing. You thought you were done? No, the castle's upside down now. Exploring an upside down castle sucks. It's not fun to do. Now that you're on the ceiling, you just have to use the bat and do the super jump all the time.
Oh man.
And that's cool in isolation, but having to do that constantly is exhausting.
Do you think
And
that's
it's
universal?
literally the same environment.
Or do you think some people?
What's that?
Do you think that is a feeling that should be close to universal? I mean, obviously it's not going to be universal, but could be shared by the majority of gamers? Or do you think a lot of people think that the inverted castle is actually like a really good part of the game? Because I read a little bit of people saying, "Oh, the inverted castle's so good."
Yeah, maybe it's not the I feel like it is the majority opinion from what I've gotten a sense of. Not that there aren't people who think it's really cool to explore and just see the space in a new light.
Maybe it's a gamer focus. Maybe you focus on exploration, so it's kind of annoying to move around, and they focus more on combat,
Right.
and they're focused on the challenge of the enemies and the
Right, because it is
bosses.
harder enemies. It is new boss fights. I will shout out my favorite boss fight in the whole game.
Uh-huh.
It's in the inverted castle. You fight Trevor, Grant, and Sifa from, was it Castlevania 3?
Trevor
You
Belmont?
fight fake versions of them, all three of them at the same time, and it is such a cool throwback.
Oh, wow.
and that's only an inverted castle.
So basically, our main boss enemy guy here is making clones of everybody.
Yes.
What's his name?
Exactly.
Shaft?
Yeah. And then you fight...
Yeah.
Yeah, Shaft is his name, right?
Yeah.
And you fight the Frankenstein boss fight from Rondo of Blood, I think, or the Mummy one. Like, they basically use bosses from old Castlevanias in the inverted castle here
that's
and there,
fun.
which is a really cool throwback, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe people enjoy the extra challenge of the enemies hitting harder. But yeah, just exploring the space just felt annoying to me all the time. And I mean, I beat it with, I think I was at 200% or just shy of 200% completion when I beat it. So I've explored most of both castles. And yeah, I just do not like exploring the inverted castle much at all. But again, I kind of ignore it because the regular castle is so good that I could just do that and stop there and I'd feel fine.
Yeah.
And not have to play inverted castle.
It honestly felt like a complete game to me where I got to.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, I eagerly want to go through and finish the rest.
Sure.
Because I had a great time.
And like I said, use that shield rod and just
that'll be fun.
mow through things.
Yeah. Oh, we forgot to mention that some items that are very cool they're not like you don't do anything with them, but the game rewards you for exploration by sticking maximum hit point bonuses and maximum heart up
the
bonuses
health up and the hearts.
in like a lot of the hidden rooms or dead ends or secret areas and stuff. And those are things that always feel great.
That exploration.
And that's also another reason why I never needed to heal, because whenever you get a life up, it gives you max health.
You get max health.
So that was another reason. I didn't always have to go back to a save room. That was happening a lot, was getting those bonuses. But it was cool because there were a lot of those, and that always felt like continuous progression to me, which was fun. Not that I ever really looked at my health or hearts, though, after a certain point. Like early in the game, I was like, oh no, I'm going to die. And then later on, I was like, I'm never going to die.
Again, inverted castle, you will be looking again, but... Yeah, for regular castle, not much at all. And I'm really annoyed because I played this with retro achievements on as well, which I've never done with a game before. And I have 32 of 33 of those health things, and I have no idea where the 33rd one is. No. I'm very annoyed I didn't get all of them. I got all the heart containers, but not the health ones.
That is annoying. But I mean...
I can't just stop there.
You can have fun scouring the map. I spent a lot of time just with the map open, looking really closely at the walls, seeing... Right. Oh, I could go right. That looks like there's a hole there. Or if there wasn't, look at it and be like, well, there's a space there. Let me go beat on that wall.
So maybe a hidden wall. Yeah.
Or a ceiling. Oh man, I found a ceiling that was pretty cool. I forget what was behind there, but I think it was in either Orlox's or the Colosseum. And there's a random ceiling opening with some cool stuff up there.
Nice.
Also, I accidentally hit the wall when you just get into, I guess, Richter's room, which was Dracula's room, and there's a button, and then you hit that, and stairs come down from the ceiling, and you get a bunch of items.
Oh, yeah. At the very beginning.
Super cool.
And then at the end, too.
Yeah. There was one other thing that you wrote in here that you probably wanted to talk. Knockback. You wrote, knockback can be annoying on certain spots.
Oh.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the room, too. It makes me think of the gear room.
Ugh,
where
with all the Medusa heads.
Those Medusa heads are everywhere, and then you're getting knocked back by the flying guy, and you're trying to hit the gears to open the secret wall, and, miserable.
Yeah. Knockback in this game, I think, is done not in the right way. Because knockback's good in some ways, because you could have played old Nintendo games where there was no knockback and then get hit over and over and over by an enemy that you're just overlapping sprites with, and that's awful. So knockback, I think the design is to get you away from the hitbox or the hurt box and let you reset. But this game doesn't have any iframes after you get knocked back. So once you're knocked back, if you are in like spikes or something, you're dead. Or if you get knocked back into another enemy, you're knocked back again. You're not like ideally they would knock you back and then give you like a 2-second flashing sprite where you're invulnerable. Some other games do that.
Because then the problem's not being solved now that you mentioned, right? Where, okay, they can't keep hitting me because I'm getting knocked back.
Except they can.
No, they can in Symphony of the Night.
It's a juggle. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else? Besides meeting up with Ibrites from Bloodborne in this game, Orlocks, I don't think I have much. Oh, enemies. Speaking of annoying enemies, so you mentioned the Medusas. Those are directly out of the classic Vanias, and they always sucked.
Right.
They sucked in this one too.
Oh yeah.
Luckily, this is crazy. I was wearing the mirror armor the first time I encountered a Medusa head. So I didn't know that if the green ones hit you, you get turned to stone. Later on, I was going back to do some stuff, and all of a sudden they started hitting me, and I was turning to stone. And I was like, "Oh no!" Because I thought only the little Shop of Horrors plants turned you to stone.
Oh, those guys, that shoot out the. Yeah.
So that was funny when I came back and found out that they were stoning me. But I guess that's a positive thing for items and equipment. That's a nuance that matters.
Yeah, that's more of a use case. Did you use any of the spells?
Oh, no, just the one with the bat. I actually what I did was I thought about the spells today before coming on the podcast. So I opened up my save and I warped to the library and bought all 4 of those. And then I checked them out. I don't think they're that good. Like any of them really.
Yeah.
The bat one is cool.
I'm trying to think if there's any.
And I think there was one more that I thought was good. Oh, the one that heals you from blood. The
that one can be useful.
Dark Metamorphosis, I think.
Dark Metamorphosis, yeah.
Yeah. But I guess, it's there. It doesn't hurt that it's there.
Game. It's cool it's there, but yeah, it's another thing where I like it's there because it just kind of adds to the everything but the kitchen sink approach, but yeah, I didn't.
It's a little weird, like that we're suddenly doing really complex, like
fighting game
hurricane
inputs.
Kicks and stuff. A lot of those, a lot of semicircles, and it's not super easy to do them successfully. So that's another knock against them. Like I'd be better off just swinging my weapon.
Right, swinging my sword 2 times. And
but what's interesting is you can discover them. Like, you don't get them from buying the scroll. You get them from doing it.
I bought these from the librarian, I was thinking, I forgot you could do that. I just...
Because you know them by now, yeah. Right. No, I had to... Because I knew there were spells, but I didn't know anything about them because I just kind of skipped them. I didn't buy much. So I went back and bought them and checked them out. That's cool that those are there. They're basically just like the blueprint or the recipe for the thing you're trying to do. But it's also cool that you can discover them, and that if you do discover them, it's not just like, oh, what did I just do? You can actually go into the menu, and once you do it once, it shows up the same as if you would have bought it from the dude. So that's kind of cool.
Right. That
cool,
is nice.
But not, cool that it's available, but really not useful to me.
Yeah, not something, and I'm sure a lot of people don't engage with it at all.
Yeah, there's so much of this game that you don't have to engage with, you don't have to do at all, and doesn't really matter. Like, they don't even care if you don't do it, It's like you can have a good experience without it, but it's still there.
Yeah.
And that's really bold. I think that's something that isn't around anymore, of developers just being like, well, we put it there. If you can find it, great. If not, that's fine.
If you can find it, if you want to do it.
Because they want you to see their content,
on that
usually.
Note,
the stuff.
Yeah, usually. Right? But sometimes they tuck it away and go, good luck. Yeah. And I think on that note, I played a little bit like this. I forget if you need to beat the game first or if you could do it immediately, but you could play the game as Richter, who's in the intro from Rondo of Blood. So I played a bit like that, and... So you type in Richter on the file select.
Oh my god! You know what name I put in for myself?
What?
Simon. I was so close. I was one generation off.
You had the right idea.
Wow. No, I just did
Again,
it because I'm a fan,
you
know? Like, I was like, oh, I'll just put in Simon for
Right.
Simon Belmont. I know that's not who it is, but I'm just kind of representing Classicvania. That's
Right.
funny.
But no, you put in Richter and you play as Richter, so you just have the whip. You're not picking up weapons. It becomes more, you're exploring the castle almost like it's Rondo of Blood now. So you have his moves. He has certain moves where he can, uppercut and do fancy jumps.
Yeah.
He only has the whip. You still find health items.
That's cool.
To increase your max health, but actually it's kind of hard at the beginning because think of it like a classic Castlevania. You can't get hit a bunch. You die pretty quickly in classic Castlevania. That is also true with Richter. So you have to be pretty careful until you start finding those health items.
Well, he's not a half
So it's
vampire.
kind of an interesting new way to play. His name's not Dracula backwards,
Right.
so it just it's harder for him.
Yeah. Okay, so the Medusa heads. Did you? Maybe it's a long time since you first played it, and maybe you didn't have this hatred of them. But when I saw the first Flea Man, I was like almost out. I was like, no, these guys can't be here. I hate these guys. The Flea Men.
I'm sure the first time I felt the same way. Yeah,
riding different kinds of things, riding a
right.
bird, riding
or like
a
when
thing.
they start flying
Yeah.
on that one spot outside the outside wall.
The freaking Flea Man. And then the other annoying enemy, the Gremlin, that leaves 1,000 balls of fire just floating in the air.
Oh, that one's annoying. He didn't usually hit me, but just having to pause and hit all the fire he was annoying. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, as everybody may or may not know, at the end of every episode of Smashing Bricks, we decide whether the game that we just played was worth revisiting or visiting for the first time, in my case, so many years later. If it was, it's a smash. And if it wasn't, it's more of a brick. So, Anthony, I think I know where we're going with this. Was it a smash or a brick? And is there really anything else you could say beyond what we already said?
It is the biggest smash, and I believe it is one of the greatest games of all time, despite all its flaws. And you need to play Aria of Sorrow next, because it fixes a lot of the complaints we had. About Symphony of the Night.
Yeah.
I think it's the third GBA one.
And I'll emulate it on my television, so I don't have to play it handheld.
Perfect. Yes. No, it's Aria of Sorrow is awesome.
Okay.
On the quality of Symphony of the Night, I would say. But yeah, Aria of Sorrow is incredible. So shout out to that game.
Okay. I agree that this is a genre mashup, right? And sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes it's just a novelty. But I think this one came together with imperfections, but it came together in such a way that it created a very special combination. Like, it's like when you're searching for a secret recipe in a game and you put together the right things and you find it, and now it's locked into your menu system. Well, that's what a Metroidvania is. I think it did this, regardless of its mistakes and missteps. So I would call this a flawed masterpiece.
Yeah.
And it is, for me, and it's absolutely a smash. Big time. Super big time. I feel like we spent a lot of time talking about its flaws, but the moment-to-moment gameplay is just great. Once you get into it, I feel it's the type of game that I'm like, ooh, I can't wait to go back and play more Symphony of the Night. Ooh, I'm playing Symphony of the Night, and I'm loving it.
That kind of, that nebulous game feel, it's there. Like, it has it, It just feels good to play, and it's a kind of game where I think, I understand why people speedrun this. Yeah. Maybe I'll speedrun this. I won't, but I get it.
Very tight controls. Like, that's the other thing. You said the game feel, like, specifically how it responds to what you do with your fingers is underrated, I think, in discussions of games a lot of times. But it really turns me on or off about a game. And the way that this let me flow is great. It's top tier for that. And I love it. It's a smash. It's a smash from you. It's a smash from me. And I'm both amazed that I hadn't played it all these years. Like, we're coming up on almost 30 years. 29 years it took. This is like the same thing with Pokemon. I never played a Pokemon. Now I never played an Igavania, and now I'm playing the first one. It's fantastic. I love it.
It's never too
I
late.
love this podcast. I hope someone else out there played along and played it for the first time too, because it is a total smash, even for a first-time player this many years later. So that makes it a smash. It was/is worth revisiting in 2026 and beyond. I have one listener commentary from Ms. Muso, and Ms. Muso says, well, I did not finish Castlevania Symphony of the Night. What do you mean the castle is inverted now? What do you mean there's a secret room you only get to by crouching for ages? You mean that was the bad ending? Am I bad at games? Because I'm definitely bad at this one. I died a lot more than I care to admit, due to hubris mostly. At least it was fair, and yes, it's very fair, I like that. And I'd come back knowing how not to approach that moment. But did I enjoy it? Absolutely. Smash all the way. I get why these Vania games are so popular. You hit milestones and are able to progress through points that were once impassable and get a bit more creative as your tools increase in number and skills improve. It's not an easy trek, but it's a fair one that tests your persistence and patience. I think there's a lot I've missed up to now, and I'll be consulting a walkthrough to see what else is left to discover before I tackle the next half of the game. Yeah, that's a great overall take. I could see all of that. And a quick one from Sogeki Dan. I've played a large amount of Metroidvanias in my time. 200.6% Symphony of the Night, and I still play them when I can. But I can and will always say Symphony of the Night is the baseline that all of them should be judged from. Okay. Thank you for those commentaries. I love it. I love hearing people's opinions on a game that I just got to play for the first time. And thanks everybody for listening and playing along with us. And tell your friends. That's the greatest thing you could do for this show. Tell everyone how amazing Anthony LaBella is at talking about video games. And if you haven't yet, go to your favorite podcasting platform, whether it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify or anything that has a ratings or review system, and leave us the very best that you think we deserve. Hopefully, it's the very best that exists. You can also go to patreon.smashingbricks.com and become a patron for as little as $1 a month. You can get a shout on the show, designation on Discord. You'll get extra episodes if you're a certain tier, which are really cool. They're fun. They're frequent. You get double the episodes. And you can also put games into a smaller list that are used for our Power Up episodes. You can also get handwritten notes from me for every single episode, as well as ongoing recognition for the show at the 2 top tiers. And one person who's getting that as a Starman level supporter is Ms. Muso, Brittany, who also has joined me on the show as a result of her patronage. So thanks, Ms. Muso. We have a Discord server, discord.smashingbricks.com. Head over there, talk about everything. Tell us about your favorite genres in the 15 genre system I came up with, and talk about everything else related to video games. And links to everything are at links.smashingbricks.com. As for next episode, I'll be joined by a newcomer to Smashing Bricks, Danny Russell, and we will be playing Resident Evil Code Veronica, or Code Veronica X, it doesn't matter, for the Sega Dreamcast, or for the PS2 or GameCube. So get your hands on a copy, play along, send in your thoughts, and join us next time on Smashing Bricks. That wraps it up for today. I'm still Eddie Inzauto, and that is Anthony LaBella. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you.
And until next time, may the nostalgia be with you.